Hey up, Rayvers. Had quite a few requests for this week's film, The Eiger Sanction, starring Clint Eastwood. Yeah, Martini Dry requested it, that were one Eiger. Superman's Drunk, they requested it, that was two Eigers. I think somebody else requested it, that's three Eigers. Hey, you see what I'm doing? I'm an Eiger counter. Hey. Oh, I don't know why I bother. Yes, The Eiger Sanction, starring Clint Eastwood. Now, those titles, they ain't too bad. They're perfectly legible. But word of warning, if you're ever writing Clint and using capital letters, if you ain't careful, the L and the I can sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes look like a U. As I found out to my cost when I did the whip round and the get well soon card for Clint, where I used to work. That didn't go down well. Anyway, it kicks off in a very picturesque Zurich, accompanied by a lovely John Williams soundtrack. Very good. And we're following this chap who's mooching around Zurich, but he gets bumped off by some hitmen. We don't know who he is or who the hitmen are. We don't know anything yet. And then we go and meet Dr. Jonathan Hemlock, played by Clint Eastwood. Now, he's a university lecturer in art history, is Hemlock. And it looks like he's just giving a bit of a speech to his students before they bugger off for the year. Now, he's obviously caught the eye of one of his young female students. And we've seen this in films, ain't we? You know, the mature lecturer bloke catching the eye of the young female student. We saw it with Indiana Jones, didn't we? He caught the eye of his young female student. But we like Indiana Jones, don't we? He didn't do out lewd. He didn't sort of act on it and do out lewd. But the other end of the spectrum, you got Michael Caine in The Hand, who had it off with one of his students and then murdered her. Or blamed it on the hand. But, yeah. Now, Hemlock, he's sort of in Miggle, because it does get propositioned by the student.
If there was anything I could do to get a better grade, I mean, I'd be willing to do anything. Anything at all, really.
Yeah, she's been lewd. But he basically tells her to do one and do some revision. Although he does slap her on the arse. So, I think you'd probably get done for that. Probably be held up in front of a tribunal. Yeah. Anyway, when he gets back to his office, there's some heavy there waiting for him, this big bloke.
Mr. Dragon wants to see you.
So Hemlock has to pay a visit to Mr. Dragon. He just looked straight at the camera there, didn't he? Not very professional, that. But, he directed it and all, so probably let his son get away with it. Maybe it was just because he thought Mr. Dragon, such a stupid bloody name. Mr. Dragon, who's gave him that name? I bet he's give his son that name, ain't he? Dragon, call me Dragon. Oh yeah, everybody calls me Dragon. Yeah, who? Yeah, you do, bloody Dragon. He does look pretty evil though, doesn't he? An albino who survives on blood transfusions and hides in the dark. Very sinister. Anyway, Dragon is the head of some secret government agency who employ assassins to go and murder folk for him. And he wants Hemlock to do a job for him. Because it turns out that as well as being an art history professor, he's also a retired government assassin. Got more than one string to his bow, Hemlock, ain't he? But Hemlock's adamant he's retired. He ain't doing any more kills. No, he ain't doing it. No way. When his mind's made up, his mind's made up.
20,000.
Oh, go on then. So Hemlock bombs over to Zurich to bump off the hitmen, what we saw at the beginning of the film. And this is where we get to see what an expert assassin Hemlock is. Very clinical and precise, like a surgeon.
Look out!
What? That's clumsy, ain't it? I thought he just popped him off with a silencer or something, a couple of bullets in the noggin with a silencer, but no, crikey, that's sloppy. Mind you, at least there's no witnesses. Bloody hell, he's supposed to be an elite assassin, this bloke. He's an oaf. At least nobody's seen him. Oh, for crying out loud. Any road on the aeroplane home, it catches the eye of another lady, this time an air stewardess. And they hit it off with some sparky back and forth. And after getting a cab home with her, he uses some of his smooth chat-up lines.
However, you never know. Sometimes people do things they thought they'd never do again. Like rape, for instance. Yeah, I thought I'd given up rape, but I think I've changed my mind.
Did he just say what I think he said?
I thought I'd given up rape, but I think I've changed my mind.
No. Any road, it turns out she works for Dragon. She's keeping tabs on Hemlock. Because Dragon wants him to do another assassination for him. But this one is going to be a bit trickier.
Our man will be involved in a climb in the Alps this summer. We are continuing to work to try to identify him.
So for his next assassination, Hemlock has got to climb the north face of the Eiger and bump off a yet-to-be-identified fellow climber. Now, whilst that would be ludicrously difficult for mere mortals such as me and thee, it turns out that as well as being an art history professor and a retired government assassin, Hemlock is also an ace mountain climber. Crikey's got a lot of strings to his bow, this bloke. It ain't a bow anymore, is it? It's more like a double bass. So Hemlock travels over to Arizona to get his son in shape for this climb. Trained up by his mate, Ben Bowman, played by character actor George Kennedy. Popped up in loads of films like this, didn't he? Now, Clint Eastwood looks an athletic bloke. He looks like he could do the climbing. But George Kennedy, he doesn't look very athletic. And you don't actually see him do any climbing. The extent of Bowman's coaching seems to be paying a young Native American lady to run round these hills, taking her clothes off, to encourage Hemlock to chase after her. But given Hemlock's earlier chat-up line comments, Bowman's training strategy doesn't sit well with me, to be honest with you. And in fact, when they get to the Eiger, Bowman doesn't do any climbing there either. All he does is just look through a telescope, chuntering about how hard it is, and telling folk to bugger off.
Do you mind if my wife has a peek?
Darling, tell him we'll pay for it.
We can pay for it, you know.
Get out of here. Either you friggin' vampires ever touch this telescope, you're gonna need surgery to get it out of your ass.
I could do that. Hey, great scenery though, isn't it? Beautiful. Does make you want to be there, doesn't it? Looks like a Bob Ross painting, doesn't it?
And let's build us an almighty mountain up here, boy. We're gonna... Oh, look at this.
Yeah, you just imagine Bob Ross has got his palette knife out and making some mountains. Yeah, it looks just like one of them. But yeah, anyway, while they're at the Eiger, amidst all this beautiful scenery, Hemlock has got to try and deduce which of his climbing companions, the Frenchman, the German, and this bloke who's a spitting image of Martina Navratilova, which of them is the chap he needs to assassinate. You know, there's all loads of red herrings and things like that. Now, something that did pique my interest in this movie is that halfway through, Jack Cassidy from Columbo turns up in a cameo. I love Jack Cassidy in Columbo, he's always great, very slimy. He runs Robert Culp close for my favourite recurring Columbo murderer. And, you know, maybe he would get that title if it weren't for the fact some of the gotchas, some of Columbo's gotcha moments, it could be weak with him.
And for the life of me, I cannot figure out how Eddie Kane could have written an ending 9 months ago that was only invented last week.
That's no bloody proof though, is it? You ain't got any fingerprints, have you? Hey, Jack Cassidy's still great in him though. Which made it all the more disappointing for me that he weren't in this very long. You're only in it for a nickel bit. He's supposed to be playing some Vietnam veteran who shafted Hemlock in years gone by. But they have him playing a very stereotypically camp character in this.
I would like a frozen daiquiri.
He's like Larry Grayson.
Shut that door. No.
And he's got a little pencil moustache there in that Vietnam photo. Doesn't look like a Vietnam veteran there, does it? But, you know, it takes all sorts, doesn't it? And don't get me started on the name of his dog.
His name is, Faggot.
That's cute.
Be careful he doesn't rape you. Charming.
What is it with the scriptwriter and rape in this film? Bloody hell. Anyway, I thought he were wasted. Now, as I've mentioned before, I ain't a big Clint Eastwood fan, to be honest with you. I always thought he were a bit wooden. And he's always playing Clint Eastwood, which is fine if you like Clint Eastwood. But I thought he were alright in this, to be fair. And, spoiler alert, we do get to see Hemlock in action doing his precision clinical assassination. Yeah, all the time they're up the Eiger, he's obviously deducing, working out which of his fellow climbers is the guilty party who's got to murder. Yeah, you don't want to murder the wrong bloke, but also he needs to make sure he completes this hit and gets the right man and earns his money. So what does he do? One of his fellow climbers gets hit by a rock and dies, and the other two fall off a cliff. So Hemlock does absolutely bugger all. Sloppy. Okie-doo, on to Ray's ratings. Well, I couldn't remember out about this film, couldn't remember if I'd seen it before, but not a massive Clint Eastwood fan, it's got to be said. But I was still hoping for a 3-star film. Now, what did I get? Well, it was the usual Clint Eastwood. If you like Clint Eastwood, you'd like this probably. It's Clint Eastwood being Clint Eastwood, tough and uncompromising, but in my mind a bit wooden. And the plot, to be honest, neither here nor there. There's some lovely scenery, and the music from John Williams is very good. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. So I'm rating the Eiger Sanction a 3-star film. Right, let's get some snow on these mountains, shall we? There we go. Yeah. And remember, this is your world. You can do whatever you want to do. Maybe, in our world, there's an art history professor and retired government assassin murdering people. Yeah. Well, hope you enjoyed my review of the Eiger Sanction, Rayvers. And if you did, poke the old like button for me. Give it a good old poke and maybe use a climbing axe to poke it. Not too hard, you damage your keyboard. Yeah, remember to share our reviews with your mates and subscribe if you ain't already a subscriber. Much appreciated, as are all them lovely comments. Keep them coming. Now, Last Legs FC tweeted me the other day, said they enjoyed the Witness review, said that we should do the same sort of thing with Gene Hackman. We should do a whirly wheel and get some Gene Hackman requests in. And I thought, oh yeah, that's a good idea, that. I don't think I've done many Gene Hackman films. So, Gene Hackman, get your Gene Hackman requests below or tweet me or whatever, but get your Gene Hackman requests in. And we'll pop them on the rotating review randomiser and pick one of them. Yeah, anyway, copyright box permitting, I'll be back with another review for you very soon. So I will see you next time. Okie-doo.